So at the start of October I said to myself, okay, this month, Lydia, you're not going to buy lots of books. So here is my October book haul. Let's get started. So first up this month, I was invited to a vloggers event at Penguin for the release of Yeonmi Park's In Order to Live, which is a fantastic book, and I've actually already done a review of this, which you can watch by clicking here. I honestly cannot recommend this book highly enough. At that event we also got given a goodie bag with loads of other books in, and I also got A Modest Proposal by Jonathan Swift, which I've already read, and you can check that out in my October wrap up. We also got given Girl Boss by Sophia Amoruso, and again I mentioned this in my October wrap up. I haven't finished it yet, but I've started it and I love it. It's so good. And finally I got an art copy of The Last Days of Summer by Vanessa Ronan. This is coming out next summer, and it is about a family where the son has been in prison and he's just been released, and he's come home and he's served his time, but the local community haven't forgiven him and haven't got over them, and it's basically about how that affects both him and his family, and it sounds really good. Looking forward to reading that. While also at Penguin I picked up a copy of Asylum by Patrick McGrath. I haven't read this yet, but it's basically about a guy who works in an asylum, and then he employs one of the patients there to come and work on his conservatory, I believe it is, yep, and that patient then starts having an affair with his wife, and it causes all sorts of crazy stuff to happen. I think it's a sort of thriller horror, certainly looks like it based on the typeface, but that sounded really amazing, so I'm looking forward to checking that out. I also got this beautiful copy of The Help by Catherine Stockett, and I haven't read this before, but I've seen the film obviously, and I really love the film, and this is just such a beautiful copy, and I really want to read this book because it was so interesting. It was such an interesting film, so I'm really looking forward to checking this out. Like, it's a gorgeous cover, look at it, it's so pretty. I really love this cover, and it's all embossed and everything. It's really gorgeous. And finally I got a copy of These Days Are Ours by Michelle Haymoff, I think that's how you say the name, and this is about a girl living in New York post 9/11, and basically it talks about the after effects of that tragedy, and it just sounds really interesting, and I really also really just love this cover. It's a really eye-catching cover. So also this month, despite telling myself that I wouldn't buy any books, of course I did. I had a little sort of stop at Waterstones one day and I bought 3 lovely books. First off, I got The Big Lie by Julie Mayhew. Oh my god, it's covered in stickers. I hadn't noticed that. If you haven't heard of this, it came out quite recently, and it's basically about what would have happened if the Nazis had won the Second World War, and it's set in England in 2014, except of course it's Nazi England 2014, and it's about a young girl who's the kind of prime example of Nazi life, you know. She's this champion ice skater and she's beloved and she's wonderful, but her best friend is kind of a radical, and she's torn between, you know, supporting the Nazi regime and everything and supporting her best friend, and it sounds really interesting. I've also just started watching The Man in the High Castle on Amazon Prime, and that's kind of about a similar thing. It's set in America and it's about what would have happened if the Nazis and the Japanese had won the Second World War. I like that kind of sliding doors thing, like what would have happened if thing, so I'm looking forward to reading this, and it's had really good reviews, so yeah. Also this month I got 13 Chairs by Dave Shelton. I hadn't heard about this at all anywhere, but because it's October and it's been Halloween, or it was October and it was Halloween, I've been in a sort of horror kick of late, so I bought this. Haven't read it yet of course, but I do plan on reading it at some point soon, and it's basically about, as far as I can tell, it's about this boy who he ends up in this kind of old house, and he finds this room with 13 chairs and 13 people telling stories, and it's a horror. The little quote on the front is by R.L. Stein saying 13 chairs, 13 chills I'll never forget, so I think it's, you know, basically 13 horror stories, so looking forward to that. And finally, from that Waterstones trip, I also got a copy of Legend by Marie Lu. I know most people have read this already. I've been wanting to read it for ages and haven't got round to it, and I was in Waterstones and I saw it and I thought, oh, I've wanted to read that for a while, and then I read the back and it says, based on a retelling of Les Miserables, which I'm such a big fan of Les Miserables. I love the book, I love the musical, love it, brilliant story, absolutely fantastic, and so I'm really intrigued about this. Also this month I got sent a copy of Sandrider by Angie Sage. I got sent this by Bloomsbury Publishing, and this is the sequel to Pathfinder, which I actually thought they were also going to send me but I haven't read that, so I have to get a copy of that now as well. But this is kind of an old school fantasy, you know, it's got dragons, it's got magic, it's got evil, dark lord people. I'm looking forward to that, and also the cover, it's just really pretty. I like the cover a lot. And finally, of course, along with pretty much everyone else in October, I got a copy of Illuminate by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. So excited for this book. I'm trying to resist reading it yet because I've just got so many other books I should read first, but it's so gorgeous, and as some of you may know, I really love books that kind of push the boundaries for what you can achieve in publishing a book, and this really goes the whole hog and just does that. It's absolutely gorgeous, so I'm really excited to read this book. So that is it for my October book haul. I have officially put myself under a book buying ban because bad Lydia, you've bought far too many books in the last couple of months. However, it's Black Friday at the end of this month, so depending on how good the Black Friday sales are, I may or may not have a November book haul, but I'm not going to buy any other books before then. Promise. That is it for me today. I will see you again soon, but until then, bye!